This DJNTV show is sponsored by DJ Event Planner, Electra Voice, DJ Trivia and DJ Bingo, ProX Direct, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, Instant DJ Requests, and our DJNTV Insiders. This is John Young from DJNTV. Thanks for watching.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It feels like forever and a day since we've had an opportunity to hang out with all of you, but thank you very much for taking time on your Monday night to join us.
It's Monday night?
It is.
Crud, my show is on. I'll see you guys later. I got to go watch my show.
Well, see, now you understand why John hasn't had us do anything.
Well, yeah, Big Brother. They were
binge watching everything.
There's the the wild course thing, or American Ninja. I got into all those. They're awesome. Warrior Ninja things.
Yeah, that running has got you going.
Oh my gosh, it's like there's hills and trails and stuff and people, things.
Yeah, you should just put your phone, attach it to your head, and so when you run, you can catch up on your shows then.
That would be pretty cool.
You should try that.
Like a selfie stick, like a reverse selfie stick, where you're watching it. Where you're watching it and you're running with it. Yeah, you're running with it and you watch ahead of you.
Or like the carrot on, that attaches to the head to make the horse run.
Yeah.
Only it's you with your phone and YouTube or streaming.
Wow, that would be so awesome. Then I would be able to never miss anything ever again.
It's $1 million idea.
It is, and we only had to pay 37 cents.
Yeah. Emu.
Excellent. So, gentlemen, tonight I want to dig into controversial music. We've had this forever. There's been songs, there's been artists, there's been things that have been controversial that have been part of our jobs and such. And there was another that has kind of reared its face here in the last about a week to 10 days. And I wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit because there's a lot of DJs, and my sons are included in this, that they've just started in the last couple of years, and they haven't really had to deal with this because there hasn't been a ton of stuff. I mean, really, prior to this last incident, we'll talk about that specific. I mean, really, I would be going maybe back into R. Kelly as the time when an artist recently has been, controversial or became something that would be a person to avoid at an event. So I kind of wanted to dig into that a little bit and talk about that. And there's going to be people mentioning in the chat room some of the songs and such that fit into this category that are ones in controversial songs. There's going to be songs that are inappropriate. I think we can all agree that there are songs that are inappropriate. Most of us are wedding DJs, so we're going to talk about our audiences in general as a mixed crowd. And there's going to be songs that are inappropriate. I think that we can talk about inappropriate songs from an artist that people, whoever the artist is, they really don't care, but the song is just something that's not appropriate, whether it's the version or the whole song track itself. And then I think there's times where we have like the R. Kelly, where you have someone who maybe created some really fun music for us at one time, and now it becomes kind of this, okay, now what do I do? Do I now, or do I have to dump it, or where am I at? So, but I wanted to start off by thinking back, when was the very first time that some artist or something happened and it became somebody came up to an event and said, I don't know if I play this here because that, and the other thing happened. Think back. What was the first time that happened to you guys? I'll share.
The first.
Go ahead, Dan.
I guess I'll go first. The first time I ever had it at an event was R. Kelly, but it wasn't the most recent time when everything really got ugly for him. And all that, but it was kind of like the first accusations when things were really starting to come out. This is, I don't know, 5-6 years ago now. and somebody just came out, and there's something like I was like thinking about playing it, but I wasn't sure. And so like I had two people who came up at the same time, and one requested and the other one was like, really? So it was like I didn't, fortunately, like somebody else kind of played that role for me for it. That's the first I can remember somebody specifically saying something at an event for it.
Cubbie, what was one of your early ones?
I'd have to go with Dan. I think it's R. Kelly, because MJ, Michael Jackson, he was controversial in a way, you know, with some of the allegations. He was never really ever convicted. I don't think. He kind of settled out of court and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a whole lot of the legal drama, but it was like between MJ and R. Kelly in the past, it's been the two that I've kind of talked to clients about in my consultations on whether you want to do it or not do it type thing, or, you know, what are you feeling? Especially when it came out, and if my brides were socially conscious about offending somebody or something of that nature, I just like, what are your feelings? And I always tell my brides and groups, I always tend to err on the side of caution, because you never know, you're not intentionally offending anybody, but there's just great dance tunes, and there's no, you know, there's no connotations whatsoever, you know, in some of those songs, but they're just great dance songs.
Yeah, they're great party tunes for surely. My first experience with someone coming up and pointing it out, complaining, what have you, was Gary Glitter in the late 90s, early 2000s, when he was having problems with sexual assault on some young people. That was the very first time, and I had used Gary Glitter for, at that time, kind of a bumper music for if we were getting ready to do the garter or something to that effect. You know, I was using it behind while I'm talking and having that or maybe something for if the introduction, if I was waiting and getting the wedding party lined up and I wanted to build energy. It was used in that, and I had someone come up and say, you know what he's being accused of, right? And it's like, kinda, you know, I'm not watching the news. I'm DJing 5 nights a week at that time. I don't have time to watch the stinking news. And so that was definitely my first time of that. Prior to that, you know, kind of comparing or contrasting a controversial artist to songs that were probably one of the most controversial songs early or during that period of time, or even ahead of that, would have been Clarence Carter's "Strokin'." That, you know, that would be the one that there was like, oh my gosh, I want this song, it's the greatest song ever, and you got to play it. And then you'd have the people on the other side who's like, you know, that song's really offensive, and I'm really offended by that particular tune. And that was probably one of the early songs of having two distinct groups of people. They either loved it or they hated it, truthfully. And while it wasn't a controversial song, because I mean it was very blatant what it was, you know, it would probably been the inappropriate song for many of the events. But when you've got the bride requesting it and the mother of the bride's requesting it, and they're the ones paying the bill, you know, there was that happening an awful lot in that time frame. So it was an interesting time. You guys both mentioned Michael Jackson. Have you had any recent people when they're either requesting it or requesting not to play it when it comes to Michael Jackson? Where are you at today with it?
I still get requests for it occasionally, more so in advance, play if possibles types of things. Thriller, usually that's not like a Halloween type of wedding that I'll get that thrown in, and I had that just on the not this past weekend, but the weekend before, it was on a play if possible type of list. So MJ doesn't seem to be as controversial at that time, or now. And I think in some aspects, we've become, and I don't know if we were going to necessarily go this way, but we'll go for it now. We've become such a quick culture in some of these aspects that where something someone does is offensive, that if I don't have personal tie to that, I can look the other way pretty quickly. Like it's the hot topic, but give me 6 months and MJ could have done the worst thing ever, and probably a year later people would be, as long as it's not the song about it.
But he's certainly gone.
Yeah.
I think a year's too long. I think, man, within 3 months, people forget about stuff. If it's not in the media any longer or trending on any social media platform, it's out of people's minds. We've moved on to the next thing we're going to be angry about.
And truthfully, I think that's great. A great idea there, Cubbie, with what's going on right now with the Jason Aldean song. I think that's going to be the exact thing. As soon as it falls out of social media, I think it'll be over.
That song was released in May. It had airplay in May. It wasn't until the video came out that sparked the controversy, and I get why it sparked the controversy. When you put the visuals to the lyrics, sometimes people listen to a catchy tune, and the hook will catch you or whatever, and you don't really listen to the lyrics But then when you put visuals to the words, then you're starting to get what the artist is maybe thinking about. Like, somebody said Barbie girl, instead of having sexual time, undress me everywhere, it's dress me or take me everywhere, different. So instead of undressing or take me everywhere. So I think, like I said, it's when they put the visuals behind it, it made it a little bit more harder to swallow for people. And that's where the controversy came up. But the song's been released since May. And there wasn't any controversy up till the video was released.
Karen, thanks for joining us tonight, Karen, here in the chat room. She mentions the song Blurred Lines, which when that came out, I mean, that was everywhere. Our local TV station had it on, and it was their bumper between segments at the state fair. And, it was that catchy it was a great little tune. Some people, they really never paid much attention to it until obviously social media started to share a little bit with what it was. And then when you watch the video and people were referring to him as looking like this weird stalker type dude on the in the music video, it had a whole different feeling. And there's a level of that almost had a similar feeling to what's going on now, is that if the video wouldn't have come out, or if it wouldn't have been if he wouldn't have looked like some stalker in the video as much, would there have been as much controversy with Blurred Lines? Obviously, there wasn't enough from the initial song for media departments to say, no, we shouldn't use this on the 6 and 10 o'clock news. Minneapolis, the local CCO station or the CBS station, they jumped all over it, and they had it as their bumper there. Yeah, for at least 2 weeks before the fair, 2 weeks of the fair. Yeah, so it was there. The video one was topless. Yeah, I didn't download the topless one because I have teenagers who play my play the music too. So, but yeah, the video was definitely one that made that. And let's see, there was another one that was mentioned. Oh, It Wasn't Me from Shaggy. That was another one when that came out in the 90s. But that's crossing and getting into that line. I think that it was an appropriate song for mixed audiences, even though it was requested at a lot of weddings. And that was one of the few songs that I had people requesting the not edited version, because there was an edited version on the radio, and they were like, no, we want the one that's the dirty one, and we want that played at our wedding. It's like, really? Wow.
That's like Cardi B and WAP. I'm like, okay, edited, unedited. It'll be later in the evening, but that's one of the ones. It's one of the songs that when things start trending, you've got to approach, because you don't want to be. You don't want to bother your couple in the middle of a dance party. You don't want to ruin their night. Like always going up to them, hey, what do you think about WAP? You want to be unedited? So these are things I broach in my consultation meetings. That songs that may be trending that do you want to hear? Do you not want to hear? Tell me about your family. Are they religious? Met with the bride and groom the other night, and John, I tell you, I don't think they've ever kissed before, because the mom made a comment like their first kiss will be their first kiss.
Oh, wow.
That's what we said too. And so they like Christian music, like their dinner music wants to be Christian music. And then she gives me this, and I'm sitting there with her mom and the fiance and her, and we're going, and she hands me this great list of songs. And you want to set the top of the song?
Let's get
Broccoli.
it on.
No, Broccoli by DRAM. And that is a song about weed. I'm like, you know what this song is? She was like, well, it's just kind of catchy. And I'm like, and it was just cracking me up, because, and then the next one was Mo Bamba by Sheck West. She wasn't, so it's like she wanted all these Christian songs, but with the dance party, I'm like, the Hotel Room Service by Pitbull. I would have never thought about playing at her wedding, because it talks about who you gonna take home tonight, the hotel party and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Which, when in talking to my couple, and they were telling me they, Christian music during dinner, and we want to make sure that, and then she hands me this playlist, and all these songs are on there, and there's Safe Happy Ones, Celebration in September, and stuff like that. But when I see Broccoli and all these other songs, I was just taken back and laughed, because I'm like, he's supposed to,
And Cubbie, how did you handle that? Because I've had it where the same situation where the songs are, and it's like, do you want? And they're like, oh, I love the refrain. It's got a great beat, whatever. And then it's like, but do you know what they're singing about. And you know,
Yeah.
before these things became a big thing, it would be like, okay, so now I got to go and basically, you know, and this is what the lyrics are. And da-da-da-da-da-da. Now it's like, okay, so let's just type in song lyrics and boom, take a look at that. And they're like, ooh, what's an anaconda? Well,
And I think that's one of the things, like I feel like we talked about this. This was a few years ago or whatever, where the idea of we can sit there and we can analyze every song and the meaning behind every song, and you know, to some extent, I think there's a line that we just kind of need to go, you know what? It's not worth it. So for example, and I remember we talked about this was back when Shaney was with us, and there was talk about Ariana Grande's Side to Side.
mm-hmm.
Should that be played at a wedding? And I was just like, we kind of went a different direction, and she brought that one up, and I was like, yeah, I'd have no problem with it. And then she's like, do you know what it means?
Yeah.
And I went, no. And then I got thinking of the lyrics, and while she's talking, I'm looking them up, and I go, oh my. So I think it's one of those where this is where it becomes important for you to have your finger on what's going on culturally around you, right? Whether you have the conversation with your couples, which I think is absolutely important, or whether between when you met with them and the event date, something blows up. I think it's important for you to have that understanding of what's going on and when, so that if, for example, that hadn't become a controversy, then I just don't play it around grandma. But the rest of the time, it's okay.
And I think that's a tough situation. In some songs, because of maybe inappropriate nature, it's easy to say, okay, we can do it later in the evening. But when you get into a song that that may not have an obvious target or an audience or an obvious person that is going to offend, it becomes a little more difficult because you really don't you don't know. There was I can't remember what the exact song was, but it was something, and it referred to a group of people, an occupation being stupid or something to that effect. And I didn't think anything of it and played it at an outdoor farm type party. And somebody who fit that category, and they were like, you know, dude, that's kind of you know, kind of talking shit about me as, you know, part of my friendship, but that's what he was saying. And it's like, I didn't even think about that. And I didn't even know that, you know, didn't think about the song and didn't think about that. So it's sometimes it even bites you in the butt and you aren't even aware that
Right.
could be out there.
And I think for the most part, like when a lot of this stuff happened with the Jason Aldean song and that coming to the forefront, I think there was a lot of people who you saw a very divided thing happening online. And I'm not even talking about their stance on the song, but from DJs who were like, well, whether am I going to play it or am I not? There was quite a few of them that were like, you know what, if the couple asked for it, I'm playing it. Like, I'm not, that they're the ones paying the bill, and I'm not thinking twice about it. And yet other people who are like, you know, I'm going to have that conversation, or I'm definitely not going to go there unless I have to, because there's going to be other people in the audience. And I think it comes down, we can take it from that standpoint. We can also take it to that inappropriate piece. Like when we talked about the inappropriate song, you know, I have a stance on where I am with my company. Like my company and who I am, everything I have is a clean edit, right? There's not, I don't have the conversation with my couple, do you want clean or edited? There's no other option with me, right? So when it comes to that, because I don't want somebody to hear that and think that's a reflection of me.
Sure.
So I think that becomes the idea that you almost need to take with a lot of these pieces as well is, first off, do you personally feel comfortable playing this? And if you're confronted about it, if you're confronted because you played whatever, the inappropriate song or an artist who has something happen to them, are you confident enough about what you did to not be cocky, apologize to them that I'm sorry, I did not realize this would offend you. I assumed this song would be okay because XYZ. Or where is your stance? Where is your company stance? And figure that out now before the next artist does something stupid that creates an uproar somewhere.
Yeah, because it's something that's gone back in history. I mean, you look at Jerry Lee Lewis for a moment. Jerry Lee Lewis was huge and would have been probably one of the biggest stars of that era until he married his 14-year-old cousin.
Yep.
Something like that. And that all of a sudden he became, kind of no one was touching his music for a long time. And yet it came back into our 50s, 60s set. But I even remember in those early days that there were people who were like, do you know what this guy did? Playing that card. And thinking back, that was probably the first time I had ever heard of somebody who was controversial, because I didn't know about Jerry Lee Lewis's life and times and marrying his cousin. But
well, you're the only one DJing in the 60s, John, when the song came out.
That's true. I was there. Actually, when he was done with it, he handed me the first record, and I was like, yes.
Oh, thank you, Jerry.
I got it. And who's this? Is this your daughter? No.
Oh.
No. So, yeah, it's been around for a long time, and it's just, I think Dan's idea that deciding now, or figuring out how you're going to handle in advance, is definitely wise advice.
So yeah, for me and my company, we get all of our music for promo only, so it is unedited or edited. Excuse me. We do have a few versions that are unedited for later in the evening. They're clearly marked unedited, not edited for
explicit,
not safe for children. Yeah, with explicit lyrics and only broached, with the bride and groom. If the bride and groom wanted the Jason Aldean song, I don't even know if it's that danceable, but if they wanted it, I'd play it, because if somebody comes up to me like, well, it was requested. It was on the request list this evening. I might, but I think if I was to arbitrarily just play it from a guest request or just arbitrarily play it, I probably wouldn't. Not right now. I wouldn't.
I mean, yeah, I think that would be.
You go back to Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen was drunk, and somebody caught him on video using the hard R with the N word a year ago, and he was banned from a lot of country stations, and he's making a big comeback again. Everybody's forgot about it.
Yeah, huge. I mean, he's been in the top 10 of the charts for 9 months now, or something like that.
And just a year ago, when somebody caught him on video drunk using the hard R with the N word, and he got canceled for a short bit.
Yeah. I remember when he came back, that we get releases from All Access, which is basically the radio stations get the information so they can have little tidbits to talk about the songs and what songs are hot. And that was one of the big things, is that he's, this is his first release from this new album, and after the controversy and after the problems and yeah, and there it was.
So you brought up a piece that I think when this all started to come about, and I remember seeing it on one of your posts, to the extent of, just because it doesn't offend you does not mean that there's not somebody in the audience that's going to be offended by it. That there are people who are going to, whether it's read into the lyrics, whether it's the video, whether hearing the song makes them think of the video, there's going to potentially be things that are there. Think about what we do as a job, right? Our job is to create a fun environment for people. And I think from that standpoint, when we're creating the songs that we're playing the songs that we are, it becomes important for us to try and make as many people happy and enjoying the moment as possible. So avoiding a song that's going to bring up bad memories for whatever direction, I think is something that we need to at least consider. I know one of the questions I ask my couples, like when I ask them for a do not playlist and they give me none, I'm like, listen, I just want to make sure, is there any songs that bring up bad memories? Maybe a song from an ex. I don't care.
Yep.
But I don't want to play it. And occasionally I'll get, and usually what it ends up happening is one of their aunts or uncles is divorced and they don't want their wedding song being played. Okay, that's easy enough usually. But, for others, it's important to kind of recognize that this might be a song, unless it's on their playlist, might be a song to just kind of go, you know what, I'm gonna pump the brakes on this for a few months, let things kind of cool down, so that by that point, the people that are upset by it are few and far between, and the song will probably go away on its own. And in some case, the artist might get, turned away. And again, some of that's regional too, but
very much so. But I think that that idea of their, I I just lost this train of thought here because I saw something on the chat. Dan, you talked about back up a little bit.
Feelings hurt.
Being
Songs. Yeah.
Oh, I lost it, guys. I'm sorry.
Having a good night.
It was really good too. I mean, it was like the most insightful thing I probably would have ever have said in the last 9 years.
All right, so everybody else that's watching this in the replay, back it up like 2 minutes. I rambled. Back it up like 4 minutes, and then just play it again.
And then whatever Dan said, it was great. Dan had a great point there. But yeah, that whole line between what's offensive, I think for some people in that crowd is a tough one. But yet there's things in songs that you may not be and I may not be offended to it, but it becomes a question of when does someone in the crowd become the raining on the parade or raining on the fun of the crowd because they're being overly sensitive. An example of that was I Touch Myself from the
Divinyls.
The Divinyls, yeah. Not a great dance song, but it was, as the bride said, this was her sexy song, and she wanted it played. Okay. Well, we kind of knew what was going to happen at that point in time and how she was going to dance with her husband. Yeah, whatever. It's her day, and it was a little later. Well, there was an aunt who's like, do you know what this song? It's talking about masturbation, and that's not something you should be playing at a wedding. And it's like, but the bride requested it, and I don't see her out there doing that. And if it is, it's her day. She can do whatever the heck she wants. Probably wasn't the best way to handle it, but it was one of those things that 99.9%, one person in the room was upset about it. The other ones were laughing and having fun and cheering her on, in essence. And it becomes a situation is that, okay, people can be upset about it, but where do you draw that line of who's going to ruin the party because they're being hurt by it when it's, they're in the extreme minority in that case.
But isn't it always that one family member that ruins everything, whether it's the one song they don't like or whether it's the one dish they bring to the potluck on Thanksgiving?
Well, that's usually,
they just ruin your, it's that one family member that ruins Thanksgiving no matter what, whether it's a wedding, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that one family member is ruining everything.
Yeah, I try to do that. I like to be that person. It's fun.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, so, it's pretty obvious.
Looking back in the chat here, Casey, if a song is not on the couples do not play list, isn't it fair game to play? I mean, we shouldn't deliberately sabotage our dance floor, but if it's a banger and it hasn't been pre-banned, go for it.
Who said that?
Casey.
Casey sound.
Casey Coker?
No. Casey out of Kansas City.
A friend of mine that's like 3 blocks away from.
Oh, not that. Okay, that one.
Oh, is that the guy that joined us on the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Casey Coker. I was going to make fun of him for using banger.
No. But no. So, actually, no, it wasn't that guy. A different guy.
Okay, my bad.
But
Sorry.
Still, anyway, I kind of disagree with that too a little bit. And Keith, you and I can have a one-on-one over beer sometime and chat. The kind of difference in that. But I think there's a time and a place to really consider it. And to what John's point of, could this offend the one aunt because she's, kind of watching that borderline, I think is very different than something that is on everybody's mind. Like when everything happened with R. Kelly and everything was like, so like was in the news, there was like no way around it. Like this was the deal. I wasn't going anywhere near any of his songs. Unless I absolutely had to, I was not going anywhere near it because it was going to potentially bring up bad thoughts.
Possible, yeah.
For potentially somebody who maybe has gone through what, his victims did, right? But now we're kind of removed from that to the point that his songs don't immediately make us think of him, to make immediately think of what he did. So it's a little different, right? We're farther removed from it. Not saying that somebody can't still have that response, but I think it's not with the same expectation as it would have been when it first happened.
But I definitely see Casey's point there as far as if it isn't on the list, and if you've had the discussion, I think that's an important part, because there might be some songs if something something happened to Bruno Mars, and Bruno Mars stuff is still does well, and it's like, okay, hey, let's have this discussion and say, Bruno was eating like 4 Twinkies. He was like hopped up on Twinkies. It was really bad. You saw it on TikTok and coming out his ears, everything, whatever. You would have to have that discussion and basically have them, I think, give you a yay or nay beforehand, if it's possible. Obviously, not every situation is, but I think a person would want to handle that, because if we can't play again a Bruno Mars, and if it's the right age group and the right crowd, that takes off some big hits there that really are dance floor filling type songs. Or if Pitbull all of a sudden does something weird, and now we've got to deal with how many songs does that take out that potentially could be a great crowd motivating thing. Billy Ray Cyrus, think about that. If we had to take Billy Ray Cyrus out of our rotation, oh my gosh, half my night's gone. You're welcome.
Glad you didn't say the other band that
I was getting there. I'm going there next. So
Huey Lewis, yeah.
They would never do anything right. They would never do anything wrong.
They wouldn't do anything wrong. There's the thing. So that's why I got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah. So here's the question that I do have for you. So let's assume for a second that you had that discussion with the couple, because it's what's on everybody's mind at the moment, and you're at the event and you play this song. It's not on the request list, right, necessarily, but you have a person in the audience who requests it, and the bride and the groom, either your couple rather, when they met with them, they said, you know what, we don't care. You want to play it, right? You play it. Now you have 2 or 3 people that come up to you upset. What direction do you go? How do you handle that? Because to me, I don't like confrontation.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. Yeah.
So to me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in that position because I don't want to be confronted. And maybe that's why I have some of the stances I have. What would you do?
I would still be very cautious and probably have erred on the side of caution. I mean, to be very honest in this, I would be overly conservative with my music, and I have been. That I would not go and try something. That's if I've got a gut feeling that it could be something that would step on anyone's toes, unless there's a demand for it, I'm going to stay away from it. If I would have done something and somebody's offended by it, and it's legit, I mean, I'm going to be apologizing profusely that I'm so sorry. I didn't think about it. I was focusing on the tempo and the energy, and I didn't even think about this person, flosses their teeth with, whatever of their enemies. And I forgot all about that. I'm sorry. And try to make it, basically, they asked for forgiveness type of thing as much as I could.
And you talked to your bride and groom about this, and they okayed it. They weren't one way or the other, and they were, or you. It wasn't on
a list, but they're okay. They're nonchalant about it.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if they didn't care, and it is a great song. I mean, it depends how controversial it is.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying? I don't.
What would you say to the person that came up though? There's all of a
sudden. I apologize. I spoke with my client about it. They didn't care one way or the other. It seems to work. I surely didn't mean to offend you in any way, shape, or form. It's just a song that's got a great beat and that generally works on the dance floor.
And then she turns around and goes, and now she comes back up with the pastor. Now what are you gonna say?
Listen, the pastor's still there during dancing. He's had a few to help him out. So
yeah, I had a Catholic.
That's my experience with the pastor. If the pastors don't leave after dinner, they're having a good time that night.
I had a Catholic guy that stayed the whole wedding. He was tearing it up on the dance floor. I'll tell you what.
Oh my gosh! And the families, when that happens, they just absolutely love it because that's seeing that human side, and it's really a couple of.
That's a tough one, Dan, because I don't know. I mean, if I ran it by my couple and the couple was nonchalant about it, didn't care about it one way or the other, and it is a good dance song, I don't know all of their clients, and I get that there's potentially 2 or 3 brides or clients out in every wedding that we do. Potentially, I get it. But I don't, and I ran it by my clients. I don't know if it's super controversial. No, if it's middle of the road or not controversial, I'm playing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, and just like you said, John said, man, I am so sorry. I ran this by the clients. No intention whatsoever. But once you say you ran it by your clients, they can't say anything because you're covered.
Yeah, and to a point, they didn't pay the bill.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I mean, we have enough music at our disposal that, you know, Pitbull could like say something horrendous. I drop all of my Pitbull songs. I can still make it through a night.
Correct. But again,
without even blinking an eye. So I kind of wonder, again, you did kind of hit on how controversial, right? And I think also kind of the difference also of artist controversial versus song controversial, right? So if artist is controversial, I feel I can get away with you know what? I wasn't thinking about it. We were thinking about the music. Everything was okay. The couple didn't have an issue with this. Song controversial, and I don't mean like it's explicit. I mean like controversial, something's in it that's, you know, maybe we find the hidden meaning behind 24 Karat, right? Like something like that. So does that come different? So that's kind of my thoughts. So
yeah.
I like to play dumb, act like you don't know.
Don't speak the language.
I just
man.
push buttons.
Yeah,
I just push
No,
buttons.
no habla. I don't habla. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
No habla.
Speak English. I don't know. But you've been doing really good out there at the announcements. It's not me. No habla.
Yeah.
That is AI talking
That's
for me.
AI, that's right.
Lip sync.
This is
Yeah.
Spotify DJ right here for you.
Yeah. This is the AI making announcements.
So one last area I want to hit before we wrap up when it comes to the controversial side of it, and I've had this off and on over the years, is sometimes the venue people will have a little, especially if it's a venue where it's maybe open to the bar area, and they will ask to have music, have some influence in the music, i.e. making sure that that clean music is played or something that's not going to offend their crowd. I've had that over the years, that the venue has had some input into this. How much would you let a venue have influence over your show, over the clients? When again, a venue is someone who could possibly refer you to future couples if you are playing things like they like to have them played, clean music in this example, over your couple who is the one who paying you for this event. How would you handle that situation? Go Cubbie.
I was looking at Cubbie. I thought you wanted to take it first. I got an answer, but I want to give you a chance here because I've talked a lot tonight. So
I'm torn because I am an advocate for my couples, and I've got a venue that likes to dance outside. We're not talking music, and I'm like, what does the contract say? Because it divides the party in 90-degree heat in July. And dancing outside is not conducive. So I'm very advocate for my couples, and I don't think I'd let the venue, if a couple wanted it, I'd be like, look, this is what they want. You know, what is it? You know, I can't control what my couple wants. I control, and whatever my couple wants. If they want all, you know, polka music, they're getting all polka music. If they want all whatever, I know I got to go back there, and I may even address it with my client. Go, hey, look, I've been to this venue before. I got to go back. I don't really want to make, poking you with a stick, but let me tell you ahead of time, if there's like sound requirements there, or something like that. It doesn't have to be just music. It could be any of the venues. I'm client facing to a certain degree, but I also got to go back to that venue.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, these are some good questions tonight, y'all. I guess it's situational. You know what I'm saying? It's do I like the venue? Do I want to go back to the venue?
Mm-hmm. And that's the tough one. I've run into that a couple of times where the venue has had some influence, whether it's the shutdown time, having to shut down 10 minutes earlier than what the contract is, or music has happened in the past, or volume. Volume's a big one that has come up, and you either play by the venue's rules, and you got the the couple on the floor. They're like, "Can you turn it up a little bit more?" And you're like, "Sure." And your hands above the knob, and you're not touching the knob, but you're like, "I'm turning it up, pushing the sliders." But you didn't touch the board.
So my philosophy is their house, their rules, right? So now I will say there are some situational things that does not fly. So for example, if they're requiring clean music, I'm gonna, we've already had that discussion, but let's assume for a second I wasn't in that position. I would be like, okay, I'm gonna cater to that aspect. The volume piece, I'm gonna cater to that piece, assuming that it's legit. Like there was one place that's no longer in existence, but it was a tent in the middle of town. It was the stupidest place ever for a venue because it was because the second you get into open dancing, the neighbors were calling and complaining. So they actually had like a dB meter that they would like abide by, because if not, they were dealing with a lot of complaints, and that's eventually what pushed the place out. But so things like that, I'm gonna cater to. Now, a venue comes up and requests a song, or wants me to play a bunch of these particular songs. It's gonna depend on what it is, and if I like it, and if it fits with what the bride and groom and the couple are going to be wanting. That's my piece. But my philosophy has been, their house, their rules. And if I don't like the rules, that's where I go, I'm not coming back. Like that, I'm not going to create a problem that night, but I'm going to put that on my list of, this is a venue that the couples need to be aware of. And if a couple comes up to me in like John's situation, can we turn it up? I'm sorry, the venue's not letting me. I'll throw it right back on them, because if it's their role that's preventing me from doing what they want, oh yeah, I'm throwing them under the bus, because then the issue is with them. Don't make their rule become my issue.
Yeah.
And I'll tell the guests if they come up, can you turn it up? Unfortunately, no. This is the loudest the venue will let me play.
And that's been how I've handled it in a couple of situations. Not so much the night of. Hopefully, I know in advance, because there are some venues that have rules like that, and we've had that discussion in advance. And the couples are like, "Yeah, it's okay. We know that that's their rule to do X, Y, or Z, and that's the way it is." One of them is you get it, your dance is 4 hours. It cannot be 4 hours 1 minute. It's 4 hours. Can't be 4 hours, no overtime. It's going to be done. So if you start early, you end early. It's 4 hours. That's a discussion I've got to have, because typically, with our thing, if they want to go till midnight, and the dance, we're going to start somewhere around 7:30, 8 o'clock ish, wherever it feels right. And we roll in and it's like, 7:15, the start of the dance. It just feels right. It flows. And we wanted to have that natural flow feel. So, okay, now I'm doing a 4.5 hour dance. No big deal, because, and we're from the Midwest. We can do 10-hour dances. We just, play Huey Lewis a few more times. I mean, it just makes us complete sense. But the idea behind that is that when they, 7:15, now you're done at 11:15. One more. No, there's no more of that, because he's going to come out here with a fire extinguisher and soak my ass if I do that. So, and he literally
4 hours
did
of
that.
dancing, or
4 hours dancing. Yep. Nope. 4 hours
dancing. Doesn't matter what time you start dinner. 4 hours of dancing.
4 hours of dancing. So as soon as that first dance starts, because it's got to be the first dance that starts the dance. So you can't do it early, because I wanted to do it early. After the introductions, one of the times I wanted to have the first dance then, and then we could have our 4 hours of dance later. Nope, can't do that. First dance is the beginning of the dance, and then you can do your specialty, whatever it is, but you are done 4 hours later. So yeah, wasn't me that can't, but he did bring a fire extinguisher out, and he blasted everyone on the dance floor, and he turned it towards the DJ who was playing, and a DJ had stopped the music before he had gotten all the way around. Otherwise, the DJ was like, I think he would have blasted my gear. It's like, possibly, I don't know.
Like, I get the 4 hours total thing, okay, whatever, and I get the whole idea. Okay, the guests show up early, so then so the time starts early, whether you agree with it or not. Like, okay, I get that from a event, but I don't get the 4 hour. Like, the dance floor can only be 4 hours, but I can have dinner beforehand, and if we started at 8,
you get it for 8 hours. Like, you do the ceremony at 4, and then you do dinner, cocktail hour, dinner, and you got it for 8 hours, but you can only do 4 dancing.
4 dancing.
I don't
Yep. That's what that's their rule there. It's a weird little thing, because there are times that it's an early ceremony at like 2 in the afternoon, so the people get there about 3, and they want the dance to go till midnight. So it's like, what happens between 3 and then they eat at 5, and then you got 5 till 8 o'clock? Well, you got people who leave and don't come back. That's not good for the venue, because he's not selling alcohol. I mean, he maybe thinks he's selling alcohol to the people who stay, but that's like 5 people. The rest have gone home, and then there's some that don't come back. And instead of having 200 people for the dance, we now have 75. But again, that's the rules that he's got at that establishment. And in that case, it's a discussion we have in advance, and the couples, if they don't know it from him, which he usually is pretty blatant with it, I've got to have that discussion with him and say, this is what we'll be working under. And as long as you know, because the night of, this is what I have to work with as far as if we start here, I end here. And it doesn't matter how much I'd love to play, another version of, a Huey Lewis, any Huey Lewis song. They're also so great. They would all fit in. I can't. So.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
At least he's forthright about it.
Very much so. Yep, he's very, very. There's not too many of them that have weird eclectic rules like that are quiet about it. They're usually pretty straightforward. Like the venue owner, that he insists that, okay, before you guys do any toasts or anything, and your DJ can introduce a wedding party, and then I will have the microphone. I need to have 2 minutes because I'm going to introduce my dinner tonight for you. He does it for every wedding, and that's what he does. And the couples all know it, and they've explained it to me that, yep, he wants a microphone after that. So do you have an extra mic so he can have it and be able to do that? Oh, yeah, I'll take care of him. Yeah. And he talks about the spread of food for the night.
Is that's it like Grandpa and Hee-Haw?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it's very much similar.
Give me the guy. What's for dinner? Well, we're having.
We're having tonight. We're going to have the world succulent green beans cooked over yeah. Okay, gentlemen, next week, DJ X. Dan, you're going to be...
Yes.
What are you fired up about? What are you excited to see?
So, the one thing I can't talk about...
Till tomorrow.
No, Monday.
I thought they said tomorrow was the release.
Oh, no, that's the other thing.
Oh,
the one is released tomorrow. I know about it, but I didn't get that one. That thing that I got, to my understanding, we might want to double check.
We'll have to double check on this one because I think I got an email today saying that it was going to be tomorrow. Maybe they changed something. I will double check now that you mentioned this, but.
Okay. So I'm excited to see that product in hand, and like it was fun to play with and everything else. And once I figured out how to do it. But that's one thing I'm excited about seeing a little bit more and kind of seeing the talk about it. I'm excited to see some of the lights. I'm wanting to see, the tube lights. Like I've been wanting to see tube lights, but I haven't seen them in person yet. So I'm wanting to see that. I'm excited about I'm excited about Mike Walter's seminar. I'm hoping I can get down there fast enough on Monday because I'm not leaving until Monday morning to get down. So I'm excited about that. I will say this. I'm also this Tuesday morning, they are doing a seminar. I think it's the earliest ever in DJX history, right? It's like 8 a.m. They're having a seminar, and it's like a round table, just kind of like discussion type of piece. And Big Daddy has promised me free coffee. So I'm planning on being there to help me get through that. From that standpoint, there's a lot of great different pieces on there. They're being timely this year with AI. Like there's that Jock, I can't remember his last name. He's a Canadian guy who's presented the last couple of years. He's got almost every day it's something to do with AI or how to utilize AI or how to use, that kind of piece. So I'm excited about that. And then I am excited about the parties. The parties are going to be a little bit different in some aspect, but they're doubling down on Wednesday nights, like the 50 years of hip hop. And they're having, like, for those of you that know some history of hip hop, they're having some heavy hitters that are spinning. Like, it's not the Scribble and Friends party anymore. Scribble's there and he's going to spin, but it's going to be Grandmaster Flash and and I'm blanking on names, of course, because I'm fried at this point. But check it out if it's there. It's all over there.
Yeah, just go to DJ. I don't remember if it's the DJ Expo or something like that.
It's not DJ Expo anymore. It's the
DJX or something.
DJX Show.
Yeah.
DJXShow.com. That's it.
Yeah, if you type in thedjexpo.com, it still takes you there. So that's how I get there.
I did that. It took me like last year's show.
Oh, it did. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
2022. So
well, no wonder why everyone's getting ready to go next Tuesday. Dates are off. Anyway, so yeah, go find it out wherever it is. I guess I didn't pay enough attention to it. Wouldn't be the first.
So there's a lot of great things on. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, Jordan St. Jacques. I thought Jacques was his first name, but yeah, Jordan St. Jacques is doing a lot of AI stuff, and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of great seminars. There's a lot of great gear that I'm excited about seeing. I haven't seen the official list of the vendors that are going to be there, the manufacturers. But I did hear rumor that there's a few that are coming back that haven't been there in the past couple of years.
Nice.
So I'm crossing my fingers that
And
that's
Karen
the
from
case.
Perfect Portals will be there, and you guys can stop in and say hi and shake her hand and give her a hug, and she'll tell you all about how to make your DJ event planner system work and work better.
I got my phone call coming up to her later this week. She just doesn't know it yet.
Okay, so hanging with Howie, DJNTV.com/chill. Howie and the crew will be doing a recording here in about 10 minutes. You guys can bounce in there, kind of watch from behind the scenes with your camera and mic off. And then once they're done with the recording, jump in and have a great time talking. For those of you who can't make it to DJX, this is kind of like the hallway time to hang out and talk to other DJs and such from around the world, literally. It was last weekend, we ended up having DJs. We had Australian, we had a New Zealand, we had a South African DJ from South Africa, and then we had two from South America in there, and I didn't recognize any of the crew. Just kind of a neat spot where people from literally all over the world can come and ask questions and share. So jump on that and check that out. Again, DJNTV.com/chill. And then tomorrow night, we'll be running one of the recorded shows at the 9 o'clock spot. 10 o'clock will be the weekly recording of the Tuesday Night Music Show. Again, DJNTV.com/chill for the recording of the show. So
before I forget, because John Colley will get mad at me if I don't at least mention it, Tuesday night,
if
you're looking for something to do, Irish Pub. We're going to be back there hanging out, just kind of chilling. Nice chill event where you don't have to be yelling over people's heads to be able to have a nice conversation with other DJs. So again, that's going to be Tuesday night at 8 o'clock is when it's going to kick off and go until Irish Pub says no more.
And the cool thing about the Irish Pub is they've got pretty good food and such. It's really kind of a quirky little small place to hang out and have that intimate conversation. And if you're into beer, they have I think that they have the Smithwick's beer on tap. And I probably am not saying it properly, but they know what, us Midwest people, when we say Smith, they know what I'm referring to. And it's really, really good tap beer. So if you're into that.
But it is a cash place. It is a cash place.
It is a cash place. Yep. So bring the green.
So, yep.
But good stuff there. So excellent. I think it's time to wrap, guys. So Howie and the crew can get going. So take it away.
Thank you very much, everybody, for taking time out of your Monday night to join us, or if you're watching on the recording, whenever that happens to be. It was a pleasure hanging with you. Hopefully you got a new insight, and if you don't, you have a plan on what you're going to do the next time that artist does something that, well, creates some kind of uproar. Have yourself a good one. We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah, everybody.
Bye.